Vocabulary is extremely important in language learning, simply because if you don't know the words, you will not be able to understand, and of course, you won't be able to speak either. So you need to learn a lot more words, and you need to learn them fast. If you learn the most common words, not the most common 500, but if you learn the most common 2,000 to 3,000 words, you'll be able to have decent conversations. As long as you've also been practicing your speaking, right? But we don't use that many words in regular conversation. So, yes, it's a significant amount, but if you learn those, you'll be able to have conversations. But if you want to reach a higher level, C level in a language, C1, C2, and you want to be able to read books, novels, even nonfiction, you will need a lot more vocab because books and also specialized magazines, articles, even films, or films maybe not so much, but podcasts, things like that, especially books, they've got way more vocab, a lot more words than the ones we use in regular conversation. So you need to learn a lot of those. And yes, just simply reading more is a way to learn more words, but the problem is that that mass of words that you need to learn, let's say 20,000 words, at least 10,000 to be C level, and then 20 to 30,000 to be like C2 level. I'm not going to say native level, but to be able to read everything and understand without looking things up, you need 20,000, 30,000 words that you recognize. To get there, you need massive amounts of reading, and you see the problem, right? You need massive amounts of reading, but you can't read all that well because you don't know the vocab. And the vocab is very hard to learn because each one of those words is not frequent, so you need to read a lot to for it to show up again, because you need to see it in context many times to remember it. So it's not efficient, and it's going to take years. And I'm going to show you how to speed things up. Basically, what we're going to do is take whatever content you are interested in reading. This is a book that I am reading right now about the Russian mafia, organized crime, its history, etc. Vody means thieves. And what I did is select the whole text and run it through a vocabulary frequency calculator and get a list of all the words in the text. This is for advanced vocab, right? If you're learning a language from scratch, don't do this. Well, do it if you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but this is for people who already understand the most common words, and you can have a decent conversation. And you, let's say you're a B1, B2 level at least, right? And you want to get to a C1, C2 level. You want to learn a lot more vocab. This is for you. So you select the whole book. You run it through a vocabulary frequency calculator. Then you paste the vocab list here, and you order it alphabetically, right? So that you get all the words. This is a number of times that the word appears in the text. Two, one. If this was ordered in its original format, it'd be like several thousand here for like things like and, to, I, me, things like that, right? And then those appear thousands of times, and then you go down the list, and then you realize that out of the out of the 27,000 words here, the first 500 will appear a lot, but the first 100 will appear lots and lots of times, and then the first 1,000 will appear much less often, and after that it'll be like once or twice. So that's why if you don't do this, and if you just rely on input, it's going to take many thousands of hours to learn vocab. So this is what we do instead. So why alphabetically? Because then we have the words organized in word families, words that look like each other, yeah, words that are related. See, voda, thieves, lots of related words. Georgian, Gruzinski, Stakon Law. Why is this? Oh yeah, this is because they've got the okay. This is the and the English words. Yeah, let's find where the actual thing starts without the brackets and the air quotes and all that. Numbers as well. Yeah, let's skip all of this. I think counted them all as words. Uses. Okay. No, no, more English. I guess it's got quotes and bibliography and things like that at the end. So, okay, so it's not 27,000 words. It's basically 22, because all of this is just filler. Anyway, this is a real list here. It begins here. So, you see, abbreviations. Break, I don't know what that is. And it doesn't translate, it's probably someone's name. Yeah, it's a place or it's a place or someone's name or some group of people, like a nationality or something, or an organization. We'll see. Those you can Google, but for for normal, most of the vocab, Kazians, yeah, you get a lot of these as well. This you can Google them and then find out what they mean. But for like absolutely, absolutely, absolutnum, word family. This one is only one. Absurd is two of them. Outposts is two of them. For adventurers is four. So this is a word family. So you simply have to review the list and check the ones you don't know. And for words like this, like aventurist, you say okay, adventurer. I remember that easy. And if you say in the context, you understand because it's a cognate. But for words like avario, accident, so you need to create a mnemonic association for this so you remember it. And if it's a bigger word family, then you create it for the first word of the group. So you don't have to memorize them all. Just memorize the first one with a mnemonic association. And then you the other ones you just recognize them in context. It's pattern recognition, right? So what I recommend you do is do this with the whole vocab list. Just review it, check the meaning for all the ones that you don't know. Again, this is you should be doing this once you're at an intermediate level at least in the language, so that otherwise you have to check every single word. It's going to take ages, right? This is why I don't recommend this particular method for beginners. This is for when you want to start reading books. Yeah, you go through the book. Oh, it works for podcast transcripts as well. You go through the podcast. It should be much shorter than this for an hour podcast. You go through the vocab list, you check and memorize the words you don't know using word family, so it's faster. Like look at authoritarianism, authoritarian, authority. They're all related. You memorize the first one. You don't even have to memorize it because they're cognates. They're similar to English, right? But you go through the whole thing, and then you start reading the book, or then you listen to the podcast, and you will understand way more. So the comprehensible input will actually be comprehensible. Let's say you understand without doing this, you would have. Let's say you would have understood 80%, 90%. Now you'll understand 95, 97%. Some of the words you will not remember them, but you're much more likely to remember them in context after reviewing the list. So it'll make The reading much faster and easier, much more enjoyable. You'll have to look up much fewer words after doing this, and you'll be reviewing all the vocab in context that you just uh, learned with the looking at the list and using mnemonics. So it's a win-win because you'll be able to consume much more content, it'll be much more enjoyable, and much more effective. Comprehensible input will be much more effective for learning. And if you do this with books or any content about the country and the culture, if you read a bunch of books about the country, you'll learn a lot. You'll know a lot. You probably know more about the country than a lot of people from there in certain ways. Like the people who never read, they know more. They know more than obviously they know more about you, about more. They know more than you about everyday things or like popular culture or how people talk. Obviously, yeah, but things about the country's history or things like that, you can learn more about all of that than native speakers with a couple of books, more than a lot of native speakers, at least. So I highly recommend you read a lot books about the country in their language. But do this first, otherwise it's going to be extremely slow, right?